Hey everybody, and welcome back to Girl Geek Headquarters. So this week was another full week for me. I went to 2 movie screenings, one of which I actually wrote a review for on sandwichjohnsfilms.com, and I will put a link to that below. I'm gonna upload it to girlgeekhq.com as well, so if you want to head over to there to read about it. I went to see Barbershop: The Next Cut, and I thought it was a funny movie. It was a little awkward with some political and social issues that they kind of weaved into the film, which was a little, like I said, it was awkward because it's a comedy film, and then they take a really strong political stance. So then on Tuesday, I actually went to a movie screening for Criminal, like I had mentioned, and I was very excited to see that film. I wanted to see primarily Ryan Reynolds, and it was pretty awesome to see him outside of Deadpool, but still, you know, kind of kicking ass. And even though he's actually in the film a really short amount of time, I don't want to give too much away, but the effects were awesome. There was a scene where, I don't want to give any details, so there's a scene where you see Ryan Reynolds' face and it's kind of twitching, but it's obviously not really his, I don't know, you have to watch it, but it had its ups and its downs, and I guess this is where the review for Criminal comes in. I love seeing action films, but even though this is jam-packed with a lot of awesome action and effects, the whole film's premise or the storyline, the plot completely is ridiculous, and I was frustrated, you know, throughout. I was kind of thinking, okay, how are they going to make this more realistic? Or I understand that not every movie has to be realistic, especially action films, because you're mostly there for the action, but just what was going on, you know, having the CIA in Europe, hardly anybody has an accent. Next, you know, the CIA is the one who are running the entire mission, and they aren't using any help from any military from Europe or England or, you know, anything. They're just kind of doing it all themselves, and England's okay with that. It was so weird. And on top of that, just this premise of this guy who almost, you know, rapes this woman. She ends up falling in love with him, or it seems as if they have some romantic connection after he reveals something to her, and then she kind of gets it. I don't know. It's so weird in that sense. The plot, story, everything was beyond saving, other than the action itself was pretty cool. So if you want to go see it, I would suggest maybe waiting until it comes out on Redbox or renting it, other than going straight to the theater, because there's so many more films out there that you can go and see instead of this one, and just hold out, wait a little bit, and then it would be worth your $1, $2, whatever, to rent it. So then rest of the week, you know, I just worked, and then I headed out to my family's house, and this morning I took my mom to a flea market out there, and I was really excited because I've heard a lot of really good stuff about this flea market. They have really good finds, and we had ended up going to I guess it's called the Modesto Flea Market, and we started there in the morning. There was kind of a lot of random knickknacks and stuff. When I go, just as a preface to this, when I go to the flea market, I usually collect old books, old magazines, or advertisements. I love those. I also collect old children's books, which I guess is encompassed in the old books. And I also collect some just like old vintage knickknacks, and I love Pyrex. And if I can find comic books that I find pertinent to my collection, which I don't really have very many, I tend to pick those up as well. And maybe I look for a couple of toys, you know, just depending on what I find. But I usually go up to the one in Roseville called Denio's, and it's huge, and there's so many vendors, and they usually have a lot of good stuff. So this is my first time going out to Modesto to thrift hunt. And I took my mom, like I said, we started out at the Modesto flea market, and I mean, we were walking. I really wasn't finding anything. And then we come up to one aisle, and this lady just has like a bunch of boxes out on the floor. And she had mentioned that she recently purchased a store, and it had all this stuff in the back that nobody's gone through since the 80s and 90s. So she doesn't want it, and she doesn't want to have to go through it, sort it, clean it, you know, put it out on her shelf. So instead she just brought it out as this huge lot. And I was digging through. My mom scored an awesome vintage rabbit fur coat. It was real rabbit fur, and the lady only charged her like 10 bucks for it. I found a couple of really awesome things. First and foremost, I found this Captain America. It's a #1, but it's from 1990. It's some type of, it's like a Marvel 25th anniversary version. And I don't know if it'll focus, but this is the comic. It's smaller than an average comic, and it came with this cassette. I don't know if you can see, but it comes with this matching cassette tape, and it's completely sealed. And on top of that, this comic book is in such good condition. There's hardly any yellowing around the edges, and there's one tiny little tear at the top, but other than that, it's in a super awesome condition. And as much as like I had mentioned, Captain America is not my favorite Marvel character, I will definitely be keeping this. The next thing that I got was this Star Trek. It's a memorabilia tin. So it's Star Trek playing cards in tin box. So it's in its original packaging, and I have yet to, I mean, I've taken a peek inside, and I didn't take out the tin or anything, but it's completely I mean, I assume everything's in there because it's sealed. And I love Star Trek. I love the original Star Trek. I started watching Star Trek a while ago, especially when it got on Netflix. I just blew up on it. I just watched it nonstop. And other than seeing it, you know, on TV. Another thing that I had gotten was, I got a bunch of these packs of Pogs, and they come with 10 game Pogs, and it comes with a slammer. And so I got 4. Oh God. I got 4 of them, and I love playing Pogs when I was a kid, and these are completely sealed in their original packaging. I already looked them up, and it really, I mean, they probably have zero value, honestly. They're from Cormark International, and they're called Super Zero. I doubt that they have any value. I just thought they were really awesome. So walking around with my mom, we stopped at another table. This couple had an adorable puppy, and that's what brought me to the table. I wanted to see the puppy, and it was so cute. They were giving it away for free, but I said, no, I can't. I have 3 dogs and a cat. My wife would kill me. I cannot get another animal. So instead, I checked out their table, and like I mentioned, I collect Pyrex. I have too much Pyrex at my house, but I couldn't help but get this collection. It's their vintage, it's brown Americana. They are round, and they come in 3 sizes. 3 of these. And they are in super awesome condition. There's a little bit of scratching, but all in all, I mean, I've seen Pyrex in all stages of its life, and this is, somebody had to have had this in their house and just kept it in a cabinet or even in a box somewhere, because this is super amazing quality, and the condition that it is in is seriously phenomenal. So I'm really excited that I got that. I only got this for like 7 bucks. I got the Captain America comic book and the cassette, the 4 Pogs, and the Star Trek tin itself with all the cards in it. I got that for, I think it was only like $12. So I mean, I think I scored pretty big. A couple weekends ago, I drug my wife to Denio's, and we were walking around, and what I came across was a vendor who had these old vintage glasses. They all have prescription lenses in them, but I got them all for $7 and I checked them online. They are vintage. They're all from the 1950s, early 1950s, and then I think one of them was like 1958, but they are all in amazing condition. And on top of that, so I priced them and they're probably about $80 to $120 per frame. And these ones right here are aluminum. They kind of look like the ones I'm wearing, which I am ecstatic about because I am actually going to clean these up. I'm going to take them to my optometrist and I'm going to hopefully get my own lenses put into these because these are super great quality. I checked out the hinges and everything and they're in such good quality. They just need to be cleaned up a little bit. You can tell that with age. They just need, I mean, somebody probably had these in a box out in a garage, maybe their grandparents or something, or even theirs, and it was probably not well taken care of while it's in storage, but they can totally be worn. The aluminum ones I fell in love with. I tried them on even though I couldn't see out of them, and I thought that they were great and they fit my face really well, so I'm actually going to use them now. One of the other things that I got was a bunch of vintage postcards. They are, some of them are from the 80s and then some of them are a little bit older than that, but I got a bunch of random old postcards because I like to put them on my bulletin board. I'm thinking about putting them in frames and maybe just kind of framing something out. This room is full to the brim with comic book stuff and stuff that my wife and I collect. So there really is enough space to put them in frames and put them in here. I was thinking about putting them in our guest bedroom or even in my little corner of the room in my bedroom. So there's a lot of stuff that I can do with them. I mean, I'm really excited to get going on that. And overall, I had a really good weekend. I hope you guys did too. Sorry that this was kind of a thrift or actually like a flea market haul video. I probably won't be doing a whole lot of those. And I just wanted to check in, say hey. Thank you guys for checking out my YouTube page and go check out my blog, girlgeekhq.com. I'm gonna be posting the review there for Barbershop, The Next Cut. You can take a look at that, and then hopefully I'll have another one up of another movie that I'll be reviewing. And yeah, thanks so much again for dropping by.